Welcome back to SharePoint online tutorials. In this video, we'll discuss about how we can create a lookup columns and what are the list settings available inside that. And we have versioning settings also. We have advanced settings and validation settings for the columns. And we have audience targeting and farm settings. And finally, we'll discuss how we can delete the list in SharePoint online. So for that, I'm going back to the site. Last time we were worked with a SharePoint online list and we discussed a couple of things. In this topic, we'll discuss with a new list. I'm trying to add a list, and again I'm adding a custom list and giving a name as projects. Create it. So now the project list is created here. I'm going to create another list named as technologies. Create a custom list and I'm giving name as technologies. Create. Now we have two lists. One is project list, another one is technologies. In the technologies, I'll add all the technologies here. So I'm trying to edit in this one grid view. So we have this edit in grid view option, and this will be useful to enter the multiple items at a time instead of going back to new item, and it will open a window here, and then we have to enter and then save. It will take a lot of time. Now the same way how you are editing in the Excel sheet, that way you can able to edit here. So now I'll start with the technologies like C, and then C plus plus, and then we'll add C sharp, Java, JavaScript, and jQuery, and also we'll add other technologies like Azure, and then we'll add this SharePoint, and so on. So this is enough. And when you want to save all this at a time, and there is an option here, exit grid view. When we hit this exit grid view, and that complete data which we entered will be saved here. So now we have all the technologies here. We'll go back to this, and I'm going back to the projects. Now we'll add the columns here. Now we'll discuss about the lookup column. So first we'll add the lookup column. So for that, if you hit this one, so there is couple of column types available here, but we don't have lookup option here, hyperlink. And when we hit this more, it will go back to this view. And here we have a different type of columns like single line of text, multi-line of text, choice. The same way we have the lookup column as well. Select the lookup column. And give name as technology, and come back here, and I'm not giving any description here. These two options we discussed require that this column contains information. If you want to make this column as a mandatory, we need to click yes, and if you want to select only unique values, and then you have to select yes here. Now these three things were important when you are creating a lookup column. First one is from where you want to get the information from. So for that we created a list named as technologies. In this technologies list, and which column you want to fetch the data, that we know, that is title column. So inside the title column we have all the technologies, so select that. And after this there is a option called add a column to show each of these additional fields. Along with this field, when you go to the new form, this title field will be appeared, but when you select that title, if you have any other columns on the same list, then you want to fetch that data also into this list, then you have to select this one. Now I'm not selecting any of the additional fields, but here also we have another option called allow multiple values. For example, if you want to select multiple technologies, then you have to click here. Otherwise, if you want to choose only one technology, that's fine. So that is with the title. Now we have two options here, that is enforce relationship behavior. One is restrictive delete and cascade delete. So here this information already mentioned here. A lookup column establish a relationship between a list items in this list and related items in the target list. That I'll show you how this relationship works once we create that, and we'll see what the relationship beyond that, and specify the relationship behavior enforced by this lookup column when a list item in the target list is deleted. Which means, for example, I added one technology in this list, and what happened, that technology information is deleted in the original list. So for that we have two options, restrict delete and cascade delete. When an item in the target list is deleted, cascade delete will delete all the related items in this list. See, this cascade delete will delete all the related items in this list, which means if you select cascade delete, and if the original item is deleted, then the item also will be deleted in this list. If you select restricted delete, it will prevent the deletion of an item in the target list if it has one or more related items in this list. Which means if if the original item is deleted in that particular list, and this item will not delete here in this list. So that's why most probably we need to select this restricted delete only. Now this is by default, I'm not clicking anything. Now click OK. Now it will create a lookup column in this list. So now we have title and we have technology. When you try to create any item, now I'm giving a project name as A, B, C, or A, C, D, something like this. And the technology, when I click here, I can able to see the drop down items which I entered here in this technologies list. I have C, C++, and so on, so on, so. But here it will come in a different manner, Azure, C, C++. This is sorted in ascending order. You can see A in the first and S in the last. And if you add something in this list, for example, now I'm trying to add one more technology here, that is M365, and then exit grid view. Now close this one and try to edit in this. I'm sorry, try to click a new item. Now when I hit this here, I can able to see the M365 also here. So which means if you add any of the items in this list, in the technologies list, that automatically comes here in the drop down. So that is the advantage with the lookup column. Now I'm entering something like ACD. Now I'm selecting a technology as SharePoint. Now you can save this data. So this way we can easily work with the lookup column. Now we discussed about something when we are creating a lookup column. When I hit this one, see, basically when you create any item, the title field have the link for it, but this title field link will show the item here in this list. I can able to see this title, technology, and attachments. This is inside this projects list, but here this SharePoint also have the link. When we hit this one, this automatically opens the item from the technologies list. You can able to see this is showing technology, and the display form ID is 8, and you can able to see the information related to this, the title and the attachment. Of course we don't have any other columns in this technology list, so that's why we can able to see only one. And when I click that item here in this project list, and it is redirecting us to the technologies list. So that is a relation established when you create an item using the lookup column. So that is about it. Now in this session we are majorly focusing on the list settings. To go to the list settings, we have an option from this site action gear. When you hit this one, we can able to see the list settings option. Okay, in this list settings, it is showing the name of the list and the web address, and this is the address of this particular list, and there is no description. We are not created any description, so that's why it is empty. Of course we can able to add. Now we have these three options right here. Now we'll discuss about how we can change the name and how we can work with this description. The very first option is list name, description and navigation. Now this project list still is available in this quick navigation bar, but this is under recent. We'll discuss about that. When I go back to the list name and description, here there is a projects, and I'm just changing the name here. I'm giving all projects, and here description is this is about projects information, and here the last option is navigation. The navigation, we have the quick navigation option only in the settings. If you want to display this one in the quick navigation, you have to click yes, but by default it is no. When I select this, and before selecting we already have under recents, but it only keeps latest 5 list information here. When you create another list, and then the last list which is created will be moved from here. But if you want to permanently keep this list information in this quick launch, then you have to click yes, then click save. So once you save this one, it will change the list name. Now the list name is changed to all projects, but you can see this URL, the URL will not change. Whenever you create a list, when you are giving a list name, that will take as a list name only. Later, if you change the list name multiple times also, the URL will not change. And just before, we don't have the description here. Now we have the description, and we have this all projects earlier under recent, but now we have in the quick navigation bar, directly in the quick navigation bar. If you create 100 or 200 list, it will not disappear from here. So that is the advantage with that. The very next option is versioning settings. So versioning will give you an ability to keep the older data if somebody modifies also. So that is also a great advantage. I'll go to the versioning settings. We'll discuss deeply about that. Now here we have total 3-4 options available. Now the very first option is content approval. The content approval is a different concept. When you submit the data, and if the content approval is enabled, and that data will be appeared only when somebody have the approve rights, and then they approves, that will appear to the public view. Until that it will not appear. So we'll discuss deeply about this content approval concept. We'll discuss about the versions. Now here, create a version each time you edit an item in this list, and it is enabled already. We'll discuss about, and we'll see how this works. And it is showing keep the following number of versions, which means it only keeps the last or latest 50 versions only, and later it will delete the older versions. We'll see this one. And this drafts will be available only for the document libraries. If somebody updated something and they are not checked in, and that will keep the minor versions. There is a minor versions and the major version concept is available, and your minor version will save as a draft. So this draft option also not enabled for the list, because we don't have a draft concept in the list. So these two options will be enabled only in the document library. There we'll discuss deeply how these drafts will work. Now we'll discuss about this one. Now we discussed about versions will keep the older data, which means as a user is updated the data, then the previous versions will be available in the versions. If you want to restore, yes, you can do that. So for that, we'll go back to all projects. Now initially this we have title and technology. Now we'll change this one. Example, I'm going back and we'll edit this one, and I'm changing this ACD to ACD project, and then I'm changing this technology to Azure, and try to save this one. So we have this item. When you click this Eclipse, and you can able to see a couple of options here, and there is a version history concept. When you hit this version history, it will show the versions here. The initially when we created, the title is ACD and the technology is SharePoint. Now I change it to ACD project, and then the technology is Azure. So what happens if you don't want this data? For example, I have only two columns. It is easy to identify and easy to change on the same item, but you don't know about the first version. Somebody modified it, but you need first version back. Then there is an option here. Click this one. There is a concept called restore. So you are about to replace the current version with the selected version. Yes, click OK. Now the third version will create with the same as the first version data. I just restored this data into here. You can able to see title and technology same as the first version. You can close this one, and here just refresh this one. You can able to see that data. Now then SCD is available and the SharePoint is available. And one more thing we need to discuss about the version history. In the current version, you don't have a delete option. Even you have a restore option, but there is no use with this restore option. Cannot restore the current version because this is the current version. There is no need of doing that. Only here you can use view. And in the previous versions, when you go back to previous versions, we have three options. Now here it will work restore and delete as well. Delete will work and restore will work on the previous items, but in the current version you don't have a delete option. If you have a restore option also, it will not work on the current version. That is the advantage with the current version. You are not able to delete, and the previous versions you can able to delete and you can able to restore. Again we'll go back to list settings. Before discussing about advanced settings, we'll discuss about the validation settings. Before doing this, what we'll do is we'll create a column name as project end date. And this is date and time. So same options require this column contains information, enforce unique values, and now this date only for date and we don't want time, and this is a standard format. If you want to keep today's date, you need to select this, or if you want to keep any of the default date, for example 10th June or 12th June, something like that, you can select. Or if you have any calculated information, you can go with this. And I'm going to add this end date column to the default view. We'll see that. Click OK. And before doing that, there is a column validation here also. When I expand this, I can see the formula and I can see the user message. And the same thing you can also do once the column creates. So once it is already created and there is an option in the list setting, there is a validation settings. Now in the validation settings, I want to give end date. The project end date should be greater than today, which should not be less than today. So for that I'm selecting this. Just give a greater than symbol. For today we have a function, today function. Use this today function and write here project end date should be greater than today. This is the information I want to pass. For that, click save. Now we'll go back to all projects. In the all projects, I'm trying to add new item. Now give a name as XY project, and then technology I'm changing to Microsoft 365. I'm selecting the 30th of last month. Click save. Now this is not a mandatory field, but there is a validation on this particular field, and it is passing an error in the top saying that project end date should be greater than today. So this message is coming from the validation settings. And when you come back and select 4th or 5th and then click save, the data will save without any issue. So that is about the validation settings in the SharePoint list. Even we have these kind of validation settings in the document library as well. You can select this validation settings and then select the column inside the list, and you can write your logic. You can write your logic here as a formula, and then you can pass a message here. And if this formula is not satisfied, then this message will come in the top of that particular new form. So that is about validation settings. The next we have audience targeting settings. So audience targeting is related to the user profiles. See the information showing that enable audience targeting will create a targeting column for this list. Web parts such as a content query web part can use this data to filter list contents based on the user's context, which means, for example, now here actually we don't have any audience created yet. Once we create the audience in this SharePoint online environment, we'll create 2 or 3 audience, and then we'll enable that on this particular list to filter the data. Because for example, I logged in, I just want to see my data. Maybe I'm a part of some department. I want to see that particular department information. So for that, this audience targeting will be useful. So this one we'll discuss when we discuss about user profile service application. But if you want to enable the audience targeting, yes, you can enable on this particular list. The next one is form settings. We have total 3 options in the form settings. By default, we have default SharePoint form, and these 2 are grayed out here because I'm not customized any list form with Power Apps, and even I'm not customized any form with the info path. Anyhow, this info path services are deprecated in SharePoint Online, so there is no use of using this info path now. But if you have any of the old files when you migrate into SharePoint Online, so that point of time you can use this option. But as of now we have this only, so we'll discuss here. So you don't need to modify anything on this SharePoint form currently. So you can able to customize this one also using SharePoint design, but that's not a good practice. Now everything moving to the Power Platform, and you can customize the forms using Power Apps. So that we'll discuss. Then click OK. Now, before deleting the list, we'll see these 3 options. One is permissions for this list. We'll discuss in the upcoming sessions how we can add the permissions, how we can add the SharePoint groups, and then what is the advantage with SharePoint group, and how you can give a unique permissions, how you can inherit the permissions from a site. We'll discuss about this one. This is about enterprise metadata and keyword settings. Now if you want to use the enterprise keywords, and you can able to add here when you click this one, you can able to add this enterprise keywords column, and then you can enable the enterprise keyword synchronization. That will be helpful. See the message here, an enterprise keywords column allow users to enter 1 or more text values that will be shared with the other users and applications to allow for ease of searching and filtering, as well as metadata consistency reuse. So if you have these keywords, it's something like tags. How we can do the tags in Google based on the tags, how it will retrieve the data. The same way you can use enterprise metadata keywords, then you can utilize those for filtering the data and searching the data. And to add, see, adding an enterprise keywords column also provides the synchronization between the existing legacy keywords field and the managed metadata infrastructure. So this is something like document tags. When you have the tags for the documents, it is easy to identify when you are searching for that. So these keywords also will discuss when we are discussing about the managed metadata columns. Click OK. Okay, we have really simple syndication settings, and this is a separate communication related information we'll discuss. And the final one is delete this list. And we are inside this site collection, and if you delete this list also, you no need to worry, you can get this one from the recycle bin. That will discuss in the upcoming session. But to delete this list, click delete this list. It will ask a confirmation message to delete that one, and it is saying that are you sure want to send this list to the site recycle bin. So we will get this back once you delete also. If you hit OK, it will delete. If you hit cancel, it will come back. But here what I'm doing is I'm clicking OK. Now this list will delete and the list will go to the recycle bin. Okay, now the list is in recycle bin. We cannot able to see that list here, but you can able to see the recycle bin here in the right top corner. Click on this recycle bin, and then there you can see this list. See, there is a all projects list. When you select this one, we have two options. One is delete, another one is recycle bin. And when you delete this one, it will again go to the second stage recycle bin. That we'll discuss in the upcoming sessions. And if you want to restore, hit this one. Once you click that one, go back to the site contents. You can able to see our all projects list available under site contents. See, all projects is available and it contains two items inside this one. Yeah, we got this. Okay, that is about list settings in SharePoint Online, and we'll discuss more topics in the next session. Thanks for watching.